You okay?
One of those psychos tried to bite me, but yeah, I'm fine.
Zombies, zombies, zombies. Why is it that we love these undead creatures so much? Is it their constant lust for our brain meats? Is it their sometimes terrifying presence that surprises when creeping down a barely lit corridor? Or could it be that they are just so fun to kill?
Anyone else want some?
Whatever the reason, developer Undead Labs is stepping up to present their take on the constantly recycled idea of the zombie apocalypse. With so many games featuring our flesh-hungry foe, does State of Decay bring something fresh to the rotten zombie genre, or does it bite off more than it can chew? At first, everything seems to be going great for buddies Marcus and Ed, until resting ashore during a weekly hiking trip. What this unlikely duo didn't expect was that they would be walking straight into the undead Armageddon.
That guy was dead. I swear to God, that guy, he was dead. How the hell does that happen?
State of Decay is the type of game that knows you need no real introduction to what is about to unfold. There are zombies to kill, and you need to survive. That's all you really need to know, right?
All we know is a bunch of crazy people trying to eat us.
Following your brief introduction to the game's core mechanics, the game lets go of its rather loose reins and sets you off on your way to tackle the challenges of a zombie-filled wasteland.
Ain't too proud to ask for help.
This time there is no evil pharmaceutical corporation or even a flesh-tating fungus. Instead, State of Decay wants you to live in the moment of your survivors' lives.
Got him.
Sadly, throughout your journey, the plot will never really thicken, and even when you feel like the paper-thin story might grab you by the shoulders and shake you, you are suddenly left once more to fulfill your daily routines that ultimately never really contribute to the outcome of your adventure.
Found this while I was out. Oh, you know, stuff.
State of Decay initially presents a very intriguing concept, one that will make you ponder about the potential possibilities of what actually might happen if the world ever fell to the craving of brains. Could you trust your friends? Would you be able to depend on your fellow neighbouring survivors? And if all hope seemed lost, could you take charge and lead your group to a more hopeful future?
We would have lost a lot of people without you.
As mentioned, this is a game that gives a lot of food for thought, but never really gives you that three-course meal to keep you wanting a dessert. After the initial hour of the game's rather awesome introduction, State of Decay kind of just stops and in some ways abandons you while relaying the same radio messages over and over again.
But it doesn't have to be that way.
This is a shame because this could have been an adventure that drove your ever-growing need to survive. Sadly though, it seems that the initial ambition of a well-thought-out story was dropped way before the game's incredibly lackluster climax.
They got enough to worry about without this.
When it comes to downloadable games, we can't expect too much from a project's potentially low budget. What's surprising though is that State of Decay kind of uses its technical limitations to its own advantage. Zombies will always generally be intended for the use in the horror genre, and so Undead Labs are cleverly able to use the sounds and the game's world to draw us into their adventure. Now, when I say this, I mean there are no eye-popping visuals, and to be honest, the game consists of a lot of dull yellows and browns that we've come to expect from a lot of modern games. The thing about State of Decay, though, that it all makes up for it with its quantity over quality when wandering its world. What's actually really surprising is that each town you enter and each house that you pass can all be individually explored. While open world games of past have always limited its architecture to closed off boxes, State of Decay kind of teases your mind with the intrigue of what might await you in any of these detached buildings and homes. What's more is the game's day and night cycle that gives you that feeling of safety when the sun's rays embrace your blood-soaked face, or the cold, chilling night sky that taunts your fearful curiosity when scavenging down the game's darkened streets. What adds to this is the game's promising use of sound when attempting to keep you looking over your shoulders at all times. On more than one occasion you will find yourself looting a nearby house, only to hear the safe sound of silence broken by the howling screech of a feral undead. It's hard enough making zombies sound fresh like a newly opened action figure, but giving them a sound-wise quality that keeps you upright throughout is a very well-deserved pat on the back. Now, that doesn't mean that this downloadable title doesn't come with at least a few technical flaws. One of the most distracting of problems is the random flickering of the game's visuals, or even the surprising amount of environmental pop-in that will creep up on you throughout your adventure. That's not to say it'll ruin your experience, but when we have come so far into this generation, it is a bit of a shame to see its lack of polish still happening.
Listen, whatever your problem is, you need to knock that shit off.
Something else that came as a slight annoyance was the complete lack of different lines in our main character's scripts. More than once you will hear the voice and recycled sentences of your favourite characters being spoken through the lips of pretty much all the other survivors, which is pretty freaking weird if you think about it. In the end, I guess not much time was taken to add those few extra bits of dialogue just to mix things up, and sooner rather than later you'll get sick of every survivor constantly teasing Lily with the idea of murdering a cute pony in front of her. God damn you horse racists!
Yeah, I got you a pony.
I got you a pony.
But then it tried to eat me.
So I shot it in the head.
When it comes to killing zombies, there isn't really much to it. A few blows to the head of a trusty pipe, or a gunshot to the think tank, and your shuffling obstacle is no more. State of Decay stays safe and gives you a simple and accessible combat system that will allow you to keep your head in the game when stuck in a sticky situation. As expected, zombies will hobble their way over to you and even chase you for miles in the hopes of getting a piece of your sweet brain chow. And so when there is no road for running, you're going to need a trusty weapon to keep you alive. Thankfully, State of Decay offers a wide range of different life-stealing equipment with a selection of over 140 different guns and limb-lopping melee weapons. What is great about this is that finding a lot of these tools is a treasure trove of delight and success when wandering the land of Marshall. Looking through barrels, cupboards, and even fridges are all fair game, and even though you may not always find a massively important piece of loot, for nearly everything you come across will propose some form of beneficial use. The main reason for this is that State of Decay isn't your average zombie squashing adventure. This is a game that boasts the concept of being an arcade-style survival simulator, a simulator that governs the world you play in when the game is turned on, and also judges and controls the lives of your own survivors when the console is turned off. What is truly awesome about this feature is that while the story of State of Decay may not make a good impression, the gameplay mechanics themselves really bring you close to those survivors that are living under your watchful eye.
This is bullshit. We're just trying to survive out here. You can't kill us for that.
Now, with any group of people you might meet in your life, you will always know who is your friend and who is your enemy. This is where State of Decay truly shines, because not only does every survivor you come across present their own unique personality, but they also come with their own traits and abilities.
I'd be more than happy to nail you to a tree. Use you as bait.
As mentioned earlier, you'll be looking and looting through the houses and buildings of the abandoned towns around you, and this is for a very good reason. As with real people, we need food and resources to survive, and so like a virtual pet, you will wander out into the world to find these important and limited items to keep your people alive one day at a time. From meeting your first group of Marshall residents, you'll be given the opportunity to build and expand your own base and its facilities. Through collecting resources from the hundreds of abandoned buildings, you can help provide a constant supply of medical care and food to your growing community. Running low on food supplies? Then build a cob-filled garden. Discovering that your loved ones are falling ill? Then scramble together the tools to make them an infirmary.
Goddamn miracle.
State of Decay gives you so many choices in how you survive, and it truly gives you the free will to do as you please. What is so great about this idea is that it gives you a strong sense of replayability in this open world sandbox. No new game will ever be the same, and all the inhabiting survivors that you will see will treat you all differently each time around. This is a pretty awesome feature that many games of this caliber seem to ignore. Now with great mechanics and systems come the really troubling bugs and glitches, from the zombies that fall through the floor to the companion AI that is just as dumb as the undead enemies. State of Decay lets itself down with a previous lack of polish that transitions into its gameplay.
Wait, what?
Even more problems occur with a sense of poorly done implementation of certain ideas, like the fact that you can put survivors in the back of a pickup truck, but not a simple bag of loot. What this means is that resource gathering can become a bit of a chore when finding large bags of precious materials or items. Buildings far, far away will force you to make multiple trips, which could steal your time away or cost you the lives of your fellow survivors. It is weird that such things were so overlooked, and while not game-breaking, are still a pain that will test your patience and even tiptoe along the lines of ruining the immersion that you experience.
Well, thanks for the info. Guess I got a decision to make.
When playing State of Decay, I was surprised at what I'd got my hands on. Not only is this downloadable game a great bang for your buck, but it also sports an impressive amount of replay value that many full retail games seem to leave out. What's saddening though, is that State of Decay falls so short of its disappointing lack of polish that could really set the bar for zombie games to come. Nevertheless, you will have a great time no matter how many times you decide to replay it, so grab a crowbar and crack some undead skulls! I have to say, minions, this has been quite a tricky one to review. Sure, it's missing a few layers of sugary perfection, but it's still a blast to play. So ultimately, I'll be giving this one a silver muffin! Yes, the shiny silver muffin. Sadly just a few minutes in the oven off a gold, but still a worthwhile product to be proud of purchasing. But what about you, minions? What do you think of State of Decay? Proxy would love to know, but until next time, Ciao.